Listen and subscribe to the Table of Truth on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and Google Podcasts. Welcome everybody to Blerdlines. This is your man Cam. With me, as always, is
the man known as Officer Voger, aka the one that can bench 80 midgets,
as well as
this is Big Josh, aka the Black Professor X, complete with the ball, with the baldy. I'll clean that
up. And bringing it up to the rear.
And this is D'Angelo, aka the Professor, aka the most diabolical, aka the evil genius.
I really gotta get me some AKAs. Yeah, I wonder is this the Rock's first bomb, like official bomb?
Well, he's probably his first as a lead. You know, think about the other films that the first to do this much. That's where he's the lead. I mean, there's been movies where he's the lead, but I don't think there's been one on this level yet where he's the primary lead star of the film.
It's usually an ensemble.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The ones that are film and ensemble.
So you guys are just joining us. We're taking a little crack at Black Adam. Only Josh has seen it out of the four of us, but we've all, heard the rumors. We saw the cutscenes that's on YouTube. You could go Google it yourself. But Josh, I wanted to ask to you, a little bit earlier, saying, is Black Adam like worth watching? And I will toss that to you, my friend.
I won't say yes definitively. I'll say sure. Casual sure. Not a hell yeah, not a yes, but yeah, sure. When you get around to it, yeah. It is entertaining. So it's not a no. But yeah, it was fun. It was a fun movie. And for one, it's a DC movie that didn't try to do more than it was supposed to.
Okay. See, that's to me that makes the most sense. I would say what was the
Can I add something to that?
Go ahead.
Define that phrase, because I hear that a lot. It didn't do more than what it was expected to do. Define that in terms of DC.
So well, I would say less for a DC movie, more for this particular movie. It didn't try to punch above its weight, right? It wasn't for the type of script and the way the narrative played out, and for it was clearly not trying to be a high concept movie. It wasn't trying to be it wasn't trying to be like a Marvel movie clone. It was more early 2000s action flick with set of circumstances that places person in situation and explosions happen.
Straightforward genre feature.
Yes, very much so.
Genre feature. Okay, okay.
And so in that way,
I think that's worth being said, because a lot of these stretch the genre a little bit. But if it's a straightforward genre feature, okay.
Yeah, that makes sense with it.
Okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
It's pure popcorn.
Type thing.
It's pure popcorn and raw dog action with a loosely defined script that does the job for that type of movie. It doesn't, again, it doesn't punch above its weight. It knows what it is, and it doesn't try to be anything else.
That sounds like the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, I was just gonna
say it had the same vibe, because like that's what I got from Suicide Squad. That I was like, it wasn't trying to do anything else. It just wanted to, tell a pretty solid, straightforward story, get some good action, get some good laughs, just show that they could actually make a DC movie without fucking it up. And that was it. Like, I didn't really have too much expectations, but then when I watched it, I was like, oh, you guys are kind of really trying to be right here and just trying to get to the finish line.
Yeah, the Suicide Squad, and not to take it too far, but I do think there's a comparison there, because you have those DC films that do just the right thing and they work. I think circumstances different. Black Adam probably would have made a lot more money than it's garnering right now. I think this is one of those, the opposite of the stars aligned just perfectly. This time they scattered, because otherwise I think that movie would have made quite a bit, because, you know, the thing the Suicide Squad did, and this with that cameo that we'll talk about eventually, that they did was try to acknowledge some of the better finer points of the DCEU without scrapping it all together, like Viola Davis as Waller, and what's her name as Harley Quinn, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. Like, that's, in a way, it acknowledged, okay, these are the things that we want to hold on to because they are kind of working, and then here's another way that we can move forward with this thing. In the same way with bringing Henry Cavill back, surprise, as Superman. I think they do the same thing there, where it's like, okay, we can still bring in things from that clusterfuck of a so-called cinematic universe, but the best parts, and we don't have to be all, well, this is how they got here, similar to what Marvel's doing with all of their in the Fox, and, you know, bringing in everybody that wasn't previously a part of the Disney entourage, or the, you know, from Sony and Fox.
Yeah, that's actually, and then I would say with, you know, how Black Adam's doing in the box office and like how the reception is, then, you know, about a month ago we had the formation of the, now it's what's called just the DCU now. That's what it's officially called.
You know, I really don't know. Probably the DCU.
Yeah, I think it's like DCU, but they gave two co-CEOs, one being the aforementioned director of the Suicide Squad, James Gunn, which I thought was a pretty interesting move, and also kind of smart, just because he actually wants to be there. He has fun with the characters, and I'm curious to see what he can do. I'm not really going to put the whole he's going to be the DC Feige type situation, but I think he has some wiggle room to shake things up again, at least get them to have some kind of coherent stories overall.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem, is the entire thing lacks coherency.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think he might be able to bring that. The other good thing that happened was, you know, recently, probably within the last week, he, you know, kind of came back to, you know, after he's been announced, it's kind of a good thing. He posted up on Twitter and basically was kind of like, hey, you know, I just came out of my hole just to like see what's going on in the world. Got a lot of tweets about, you know, a lot of fans suggestions. And I just wanted to let you guys know we hear you, and that's thanks, and then kept it moving.
Yeah, he's like, we hear you, but understand we're moving on. We're moving forward, not backwards. All that stuff. If you think you got away with that whole pressure in the studio, the WB to pay for mediocrity again, then you're not gonna. It's not coming. You know, like that. He has to move on, and we are too.
Yeah, 100%.
He ain't moved on yet. But it's interesting that it's interesting that how all of that came about. You know, between Disney cutting him loose, and then bringing him back, and then coming to find out the behind the scenes stuff, like, you know, Kevin Feige pretty much throwing a fit once Gunn got fired, and basically flew into Disney HQ and was like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And then, you know, Alan Horn, I think, misreading the tea leaves on people's reactions to the discovery that James Gunn, like people in their younger days, probably said and did stupid things on social media that were probably regrettable and probably needed to take him down, you know. And that's not new, and that's certainly not a fireable offense. And more importantly, you fell prey to a Republican numbskull who set all of this in motion by digging up old tweets on James Gunn. And it
really did blow up a lot of shit, because I was actually there working at Marvel at that time, and it was a complete shit show. Like, it messed up a lot. And I knew it came from the very tippity top, because there was no warning for anyone, and so everybody was scrambling to figure out, you know, what we're going to say on social, how we're going to address it. This is not like, it was not handled in any type of smart way at all. It was literally on someone from the tippy top was like, "Yo, he's fired," and then we had to all figure it out. And that's why when I saw that, I was like, man, this is not going to end well because you guys are just going to bring him back anyways. And exactly what they did, but he got to slide in real quick, get some money from DC, and then and to his credit, because he was going to be the showrunner for this Marvel Phase 4. And the preliminary notes that had already, that just from the stuff that we had seen, it was mostly supposed to be cosmic based. Like that was just kind of his whole plan. And then this is pre-COVID, this is pre all that stuff. But the rough notes were basically like it was going to be centered around Guardians 3 was going to be like his swan song in terms of like directing, but then it was taking the motion to do more cosmic stuff. So all it said was cosmic, so we could just guess what that is, but that just opens the door up for a lot of different things. So just that haphazardness that Marvel Disney did, that props to Gunn to freaking taking that opportunity and rolling with it, and now being in probably a way better situation now.
Yeah, and I mean, what's ill is the thing with him being positioned, finding out later after the fact that he was being positioned for the cosmic thing. I heard that before you told me. Mm-hmm. So the fact that I heard it from outside and then hearing it from inside was just like I remember asking you, like, yo, was he gonna? And you like, yo, how do you even know that? But more importantly, yes, to answer your question. And so it's just wild that they screwed the pooch like that. Could you imagine what this dude was gonna do? Like,
have a lot of fun.
And as much as they're on some, DC is, there's no competition between us and DC. DC is about to, it just caught the major come up. It's going to be more organized. It's going to be better. The product that they put out is going to be better now. So you just gave yourself competition, and probably the worst, and I mean worst by best, the worst possible competition you could ask for. Like now it's a race. It's gonna be a race.
And so now we're recording.
Isn't that premature to say that though? I mean, there hasn't been enough indication to say there hasn't been enough indication to suggest that the tide has turned, even with Marvel's most recent mediocre outputs of mediocrity, which again, I've said it before, the only thing they recently put out that I've actually enjoyed has been what did I say? Oh, Spider-Man No Way Home. But I get what you're saying. There's reason to be excited for it. Yeah, for sure.
I think that's the bigger thing. I think right now, for people that are very big fans of like the DC people, all the he who should not be named fans as well, I think this gives them a little bit of battery in their backs to kind of do stuff. I think also now, we're recording this before Black Panther's dropping, and Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever, blah, blah, blah. We'll do a whole situation. We'll go watch it, chime in on that on our own. But to Dee's point, Marvel has been kind of jogging in place in the last year and a half or so in terms of their movies, kind of phoning it in. Not horrible, not super dope, just kind of in that little middle ground. Like, depending on where you lie, you might like one more than the other. But in general, it's been pretty much, kind of just...
The word you're searching for is mediocre.
Or as the kids say,
that's
these
our
days,
word
mid.
Of every day.
Mid.
Don't be mediocre.
Hey Josh, let me circle back to something we said offline.
Yes.
Two things. One, let me start off by saying that I think DC with the last few flicks knows what they are, and they're not trying to go the Marvel way with giving you a whole intro to the character. They're just dropping characters in. Like, these characters, they've been established. I think that's a good thing. The Black Adam, bringing reoccurring characters or salvaging characters from franchises that had some type of like something there, even though it maybe wasn't a complete movie, to move forward and push a better overall like product for DC or the DCU or whatever they want to call it. I think going forward, I think they know what they're doing. I think I'm assuming they've kind of learned from their mistakes trying to be a carbon copy of Marvel. They can't do it that way.
Yeah.
And they have some really good characters. Peacemaker, like, those are strong characters. In my opinion, I watched Peacemaker. It was really good shit. It was entertaining. It was wildly entertaining. I do like some of the Suicide Squads, the Amanda Wallers. I heard about the big reveal at from Black Adam. And I think going forward, I think that's a good thing. Obviously, I'm a big fan of the animation; they can do no wrong. But with their whole live action, I think going forward, I'm under the assumption that we're going to see better projects or just better work in where we can have a fair comparison to Marvel. I want to revisit Black Adam, and like I've been hearing some buzz on it. You being the one of the four to watch it, I've been hearing it's not bad. And my question earlier was if the DCU makes better movies, quality movies, where people are like, yo, go check out this flick, go check out that, and kind of reminisce like, yo, that Black Adam, I heard it was actually kind of decent. Maybe I need to go rewatch that or watch that if I haven't seen it like myself. And maybe there might be something that will people revisit it. And like D, you said, there's already a cult following for it that may give it some life, some long lasting life, because right now, based on the numbers, it's more than likely going to be a flop. You got Black Panther coming out, but will it be one of those things that we look back and was like, yeah, it didn't start off great, but then over time, because it's not a bad movie within the realm of the DCU, that we can go back. It's like, yeah, it was actually solid. It was what it was. You know, it's The Rock. We got what we want. It wasn't as bad as the other stuff before Black Adam and James coming, but it does not hurt the overall arc. Do you think Black Adam will be that type of movie where if people didn't watch it and they watch these other movies, they can go back and be like, let me go check this Black Adam. Maybe they got something there, Do you think
if you haven't seen it, yes. To answer the question, yeah. I think if you haven't seen it, then yes. People who haven't seen it will double back and be like, all right, well, let me go see what's good. I am a serial repeat movie watcher. I can't tell you how many times D has called me and I'll be like, yo, I got blah 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 on TNT. I will rewatch
one of the Star Wars films, not the better ones either.
Yes. Oh yes. And don't give away all the secrets, D. It's but yeah, I mean, would I watch it again? Sure. Would I go out and like buy it? Probably not. I'll wait for it to come on like HBO or whatever. But I don't feel like I need to own it. And I own several movies. I own quite a few movies. Let me not even downplay it. So yeah, I think will people who haven't seen it circle back and be like, well, if let's say, I don't know, 4 DC movies down the line, let's just pie in the sky and say 3 of the 4 movies are successful, which would be a hell of an improvement. And then people go, okay, well, I've seen this 4th movie. Let me double back and see where it started to get good again, and go watch Black Adam. I can see it. If you haven't seen it.
I was gonna say the reason I say that is because I'm doing that currently with Ant-Man.
Oh, Ant-Man. Yeah.
I missed Ant-Man.
That's a good example. That's a
great example.
Yeah.
And seeing the latest trailer, they're different movies. The one with Kang, it's a totally different. The vibe I'm getting is going to be totally different from the other 2. But I keep hearing Ant-Man was actually solid.
Oh yeah, Ant-Man was
Ant-Man also performed though. Ant-Man performed at box office. It wasn't. There was no question that film was an unfettered box office smash hit. Even
I will
if
say
it was.
I had no intention of watching Ant-Man. I wasn't interested in the character. So for me, regardless of what the box office says, like I was like, I don't know if I want to watch this because I'm not interested in the character. But then I see him on screen in the other movie. I was like, he's got some. Obviously, I knew the actor. He's got charisma. But I'm also hearing from the audience, it's like, yo, it's actually a pretty solid movie. Go check it out. I was like, all right, cool. So
I understand that. I just meant when you comparing the 2, Black Adam to Ant-Man. Ant-Man didn't have those problems, the critical problems or the or the box office. But I understand in terms of the audience, there was a tempered response to it, like comic book fans and things like that.
Yeah,
I think
it was definitely one of those ones where Marvel was sticking their neck out a little bit to see if they can pick up, because they're basically trying the Guardians of the Galaxy method, right? Guardians of the Galaxy came out, ain't nobody know who Guardian of the Galaxy, what they were, what didn't
You
know
were
had
the
to
only
know.
person who knew who Guardian. The only person that I knew who knew who Guardians of the Galaxy were.
I didn't know
And
who they were.
so exactly, so they did that to test the waters, to be like, all right, look, can we take a bunch of random characters and make you guys care? Apparently they could. And then when Ant-Man came, I was like, this is gonna be interesting, because he's not really a fan favorite in terms of like popularity in terms of the books, but he's not like not known. But then you get Paul Rudd, who adds that extra, like, people really like Paul Rudd. So it had a nice mix of like, this could be a good movie, and then it turned out to be a really solid flick, critically on the box office, but also on the fans. Like, fans really enjoyed it. They really took to Paul Rudd, and he kind of became a fan favorite.
Yeah.
What was
One
wild was
thing I
they
would
didn't
say about
even-
DC
Go ahead,
versus
Dean, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say really quick, one thing I'll say that I've noticed about these more successful DC films is it's about the characters. It's not about the plot. And that's the difference. That's the line that they're drawing between them and Marvel. With Marvel, you cannot just drop in on any part of any phase. Otherwise, you're going to be lost on some things. At first, that wasn't the case. Where are we now? Phase 4, it is full tilt the case. You cannot be a passive viewer plot-wise of this story. Now, the characters develop over time too, but however, they're secondary to the overarching narrative that they're trying to tell.
Yeah.
DC, however, and we saw it with first with the Suicide Squad, when again Amanda Waller shows up, there's no reference to what happened in that previous Suicide Squad except for what happened with the characters that we know. Harley Quinn was previously a member. There were other members that aren't there now, but of course it's because they either got killed or Waller doesn't want to use them anymore. Same with Black Adam. We got new characters, but who shows up at the end? Henry Cavill as Superman. Does he mention that he fought Batman, or that he died, or Darkseid is out there? No, he says we need to talk, because it's about Adam and who he is, and about the person that stands as the okay, Adam, when you get out of control, here's the guy that you're gonna have to deal with.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that is, I hope that's where they're going to continue, because they're showing that they could literally, like you said it earlier, Cam, they could drop these characters anywhere. But we know who who Amanda Waller is. We know that she runs Task Force is. So when she shows up, that's the reference that we got. We don't need the whole plot of either of the two films.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
I
definitely.
think that's a strength for them, and I hope they chase that.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it. And then I think also, they're starting to, as this Black Adam's coming out, like you said, everything else, switching gears more into like the TV realm. We've been seeing a lot of cancellations and a lot of just like cleaning house, basically, because CW just got their buyout, or I read up on it actually. So both C and W still own part of the CW, but only like 13% or something like that. And then a new media company that actually owns Cooking Channel and Food Network, they came in and have the controlling stake now. So they actually, they cut all the DC shows, all that stuff done. Everything's getting sunsetted. I think, basically everything's in their last season, basically. Flash, Supergirl, all that kind of stuff, except for the
Did they say what
Titans.
their focus is going to be going forward?
Not that I've read yet. Even Titans actually too. I think that's starting its new season. They haven't really said anything about like what's in store for them. That they haven't said, hasn't been officially cut. Hasn't been pretty much anything. It's pretty much Titans just started, and then it kind of keeps going.
Titans is probably
adding to that. David Zaslav had mentioned, and it's in public because they had the investor call or whatever. He made statements about it. It's on record, but he had talked about, and obviously speaking vaguely, that they're going to focus on brands that are known they're widely known or whatever. So that that gave me the idea, and with this him bringing Superman back and all that, the Titans likely won't go away anytime soon because of the fact that the main character is a white male, and they focus almost entirely on Dick Grayson, Nightwing. And then what I saw in this new 2 episodes, now they're sort of pushing Connor Kent into that role. So you see where they're trying to go. They're trying to go back to having Batman and Superman and these characters who have been sort of their go-to as being the guys, but we'll see if that's like the thing that holds, or if it becomes just kind of the bait that pulls people back into it. And that would make sense. You would revert to the characters that people know to build goodwill, because I think despite the people who are sort of the anti-intellectual aspect of the DC fan base, the ones who have seen this crap and looked at it like this is crap, no matter how much money it makes, it's crap. Again, they might come back Henry Cavill as Superman. I liked Henry Cavill as Superman. I didn't like the way his Superman was written. But if there's any single person actor on this planet who is Superman, the embodiment of Superman, it's that dude.
Yep.
And he's enthusiastic about the role. So yes, he should have the role.
Yep, exactly. I think that's kind of like that. And I think, going back to like focusing on the characters, not really worrying about the overall huge, trying to fit everything together like a regular comic book where Marvel's pretty much perfected that. Like DC can actually do that. Now, focusing on characters in TV realm, Ander for Star Wars has been getting a lot of buzz from. It's one of those ones where it's getting no buzz and a lot of buzz at the same time. Like the people that are into Star Wars are like, yo, this is really good. It's character driven. There's no lightsabers. They're not on a fucking desert. Like it's actually worth watching. And then
when you say desert, we mean Tatooine.
Tatooine. Sorry.
That is correct. There is no reference. There's no reference to Tatooine. They do not visit Tatooine. Nobody's been to Tatooine.
Nobody's sand covered.
Wait,
they don't see why Anakin hates sand now. So
hold on.
There is not even one grain of sand. Not one grain of sand has been harmed in the making of that series.
Can we actually say they're actually exploring the fucking galaxy?
Whoa!
I would say I could say that
in the galaxy far, far away. I mean, there's
comfortable saying
that a galaxy encompasses, I don't know, millions of stars. About half of those might be livable. I mean, in all of that, there's only a few people and a few desert planets.
Here's another idea. They recognize the guy they're trying to catch when they've shaven. And they have a poster. I'm like, Obi-Wan, who looked the same for God knows when and couldn't recognize him if you walked in front of him.
That is a good point.
So
they even make a reference to it. They're like, he may have shaven.
This is the same response that Rogue One gets. Like, to me, Rogue One is the best Star Wars film of the Disney era, period.
True.
Yes.
But people will argue you up and down that, no, you got to take a look again at this. No, there's only one film.
People argue that?
There's only one film that was actually a good film, top to bottom, in that whole stretch of films made, and that was Rogue One.
Yeah.
Now, the only hold on, Josh. The only thing I'm gonna fight back with you on is Cassian Andor's character development through Rogue One was mad confusing. I couldn't tell if he was a villain or a hero, and I don't know what was the reason behind the writing of who he was supposed to be. That was my only gripe. Like,
I was okay with it. It was deliberately ambiguous. Like, he was supposed to be struggling with the fact that he has to do terrible things in service to the rebellion,
which was a theme throughout the film. You had it with Galen Erso, with him creating the Death Star, Andor. I didn't.
For me, I get that sense now after watching Andor. When I first watched Rogue One, I was kind of confused. So now that we have more of a backstory, for me, this is me personally, we have more of a backstory. I can understand the direction of how he is in Rogue One, but it could be good or bad because to me, I don't want to say it's poor writing. I just say the writing was not ideal, and they found a cop out by giving him some type of backstory in Andor to justify what I saw in Rogue One. That's fine.
Oh no, I saw it bright as day in Rogue One.
Yeah, I
I did too.
Yeah, I didn't see that. I just thought his character was a little it wasn't even complex. I was like, what, is he a hero? Is he a villain? Because I never knew who Andor was. He just popped up.
He's a
and I just couldn't figure it out. And then I was like, okay, he is a hero at the end of the day. But during the beginning and middle of that movie, I was kind of conflicted. Like, what is he trying to be? However,
I think mission accomplished because as you see, he's doing all kind of dirty, but doing dirty for the rebellion. He's stealing money. He's doing heists. He's killing dudes. And that sort of reinforces his whole speech when you first when they introduce his character. He talks about, I've done all kinds of craziness in service to the rebellion. I've killed people. I've stolen. I've done this. I've done that. Like all to get it. So
to be fair,
when he gives what's her face Galen Erso's daughter that whole speech about you don't know me, you don't know what I've done in service to the rebellion. To me, that sort of set the stage for that in the movie. At least in my mind, it set the stage in the movie that he's one of those people that's done dirt for a good cause.
Well, he had also killed a man just in that very first scene he was in.
Right.
In fact, he killed his own. He shot his own comrade in order to be able to get away from the approaching stormtroopers. So but to be fair, they did a lot of reshoots for Rogue One. So that you could have been picking up. You probably were picking up on that in terms of that inconsistency. So I won't say it's not there. I would just say that I didn't, even after seeing it with the reshoots, I didn't cast any kind of. I didn't have that experience that you had. But I'm not saying that.
Yeah. It kind of threw me off. I lost my train of thought on Andor, but I will agree with this. I have to go revisit the original 3, but to me, Andor is like probably tops. It's a war movie. There's no happy ending. I love that type of ending. Like, I'm cool with it. In the pantheon or all the Star Wars movies, this ranks up there. And then I put a few I put Mando around that top 5-10 area. But I like the animation. The Star Wars animation is better than the movies. Because
I was about to ask about that. So the next one is what's going on right now? Is Tales of the Jedi just started?
Mm-hmm.
Tales of the Jedi is interesting, but I think
it's like an anthology, right?
And Rebels is probably behind Rogue One as far as like a good story.
Nah, Rebels as a whole, I would say beats out Clone Wars just because of as a whole. Clone Wars takes about 2 seasons to get going.
The first 3-4 seasons of Clone Wars is just a mess.
But I think I'm curious to see it because I know the Bad Batch they're getting their next season, which was dope already. I already saw that Andor's starting to film season 2 at the beginning of next year already. So they on it. Month. Next month actually. And then I had to double check. So the Acolyte, which is going to be the other series later on, is actually going to be set in High Republic, which is 100 years before Phantom Menace. So it's not going to have Ventress, but that's again, as to D'Angelo's point, a big galaxy of people that's not named Skywalker. And so the more I see non-Skywalker, the happier I am.
And the different time periods, but they, now Disney is going to be making all kind of stuff in that set during that High Republic stage,
easily,
because that's something that they're developing, that they have started to create. It's not the old Republic. It's not the stories that they scrapped from Legend. It's all this new shit that they put in here that is Disney proof. So we'll see how it shakes out. It could be good, it could be bad, but I haven't read any of those High Republic novels. I don't intend to, because that's corporate storytelling. But
Yeah.
you know, we'll see how they build it. Anything that gets us, like you just pointed out of the Skywalker era, and I mean at least centuries out that era, is welcome for me.
Now,
Yeah,
now,
I
now, if they want to
personally
talk
am
about,
boycotting.
I was
I
gonna say,
personally
if
am
they want to talk about
boycotting. I
Darth
will not
Raven, let's
read.
do it.
You
I
said
will
what,
not
Cam?
read a single book outside of the air quotes Legends canon. I refuse.
If they want
I've
to go
read.
to like
I've
Knights of the Old Republic and talk about Darth Raven and all, like I'm game. You know,
that, yes, but
Yeah, if they
in
do
terms of like
Revan or Bane, yeah.
let's do it.
yeah. Oh,
And that's
yeah,
all the Old Republic. So, you know, again, it
yeah.
goes back to where we know there are far more interesting characters, stories that bring nuance and make it feel like a galaxy far, far away. I mean, we're talking about characters that use actual magic and sorcery that exist in the Star Wars who are at times more powerful than Sith Lords and Jedis themselves. So, you know, it's fascinating. Then you got Dr. Aphra. Well, I mean, she's post Skywalker.
She is pre-Skywalker, but she's
But
in
not
the
that far pre-Skywalker.
yeah,
right?
it's kind of like in the
Pre-New
Mando
Hope.
range. Yeah,
Pre-New
she's
Hope,
pre
right?
No Hope.
Pre-New
Yeah,
Hope.
she's
Yeah.
pre No Hope. So she's like in the Mando range, if anything,
Wait, but
closer
okay,
to Luke to New Hope.
but still, the Galactic Empire has existed in her time, right?
Yeah.
That's all
So
Skywalker
yeah,
era.
yeah. So,
Skywalker era is from the Republic when it was Senator Palpatine who meets young Anakin
Yeah.
Skywalker all the way to the rise of Skywalker.
Yeah,
the
So she would
series
be
before that.
Yeah,
So
she'd be in the she'd be in that Mando like time frame. Actually, no, because Mando's right after Return of the
Mando
Jedi,
is
right?
post Return of the Jedi.
but
Okay,
it's
so
still Skywalker era.
Yeah, so it's still Skywalker era. So she would be actually pre New Hope. Now I think about it, because she's working with Vader in that whole situation. And Dr. Aphra is a great character, like basically a evil Indiana Jones with killer droids, and it's from there it just gets funnier and pretty hilarious, because she is actual, like, she's basically a villain, but does good things once every like 10 issues. So
but it's still more of an interesting take in the corner of the galaxy, even if it is set during that large slice of the Skywalker era.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that I think the Dr. Aphra character has been fun, just because her character starts with Vader. Vader hires her to go get something, gets it as typical Vader son. Okay, you did your job, I'm about to kill you, and then I'm gonna keep you moving. She fakes her death, and then she kind of goes off on her own thing. So the overarching thing is she just doesn't want to get caught by Vader, but then she's off doing her own thing in a galaxy far, far away. And that's part of the reason why the story and the character has more fun, because you really don't get to touch anything Vader for a long time. Maybe a little tips here and there, but in general, it's a bunch of new people, new things. That's where the quote unquote Black Wookiee comes from, is Dr. Aphra's. That's one of her bounty hunter peoples. And so you see a lot of that kind of stuff. But yeah, to your point, I think if they can kind of just get out of the Skywalker era and just have fun and just, give us new stories with, like you said, space wizards and all that, like, just go ham, have fun, just enjoy.
Even if
I'm
Disney
cool with
really
new
wants
Jedi
to do
Knights and
something
all
new,
that. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say really quick, if they want to do something new, they could even explore the area where Thrawn comes from, because that's something that no writer has really gone into or tried to explore in the Star Wars mythology. So there's plenty to do, which is frustrating, because you have such a large sandbox, so big that when you step in it, you can't see nothing on either side. There's so much sand. Like it's a world that just continues to. It's like the Gremlins when you throw water on them. Like it just keeps popping up new types of stories. Some of them good, some of them bad, some of them goofy as fuck, but they all there.
Yeah,
now,
I mean, I'm cool with Jedi with Jedi Knights. I actually prefer it, but just not Skywalker. It's really simple. Skywalkers don't have to be the central theme or the central characters in the narrative, which is why I'm really looking forward to it's the High Republic. I have a soft spot for the High Republic stories, so I'm hoping that they do them justice. If they're not gonna plunder the Legends canon for source material, I'm just hoping that they do it justice, because I do have a soft spot, having read the Darth Bane books in particular. D and I both have a very large soft spot for Darth Bane, and by extension, at least for me, speaking for myself, by extension, the Old Republic era. So, I look forward to it. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I think the Acolyte will do well. I'm an Amanda Stenberg fan, so child can do no wrong. So my hope is that she's well up. So I'm happy that she got the role.
What is the Acolyte about? What is that?
Nobody knows.
I think it's has something to do with the Sith, but it nobody knows, because even though the Rule of Two was established, there were times where Sith Lords did their own thing and
so apparently
abiding to that. So
so like the base synopsis is basically like a former Padawan seeks out a master, and then they go on a road trip.
So they're not. She's not a Sith or a Jedi. It's just a force sensitive mother sucker who was training.
Yep. So it's gonna be interesting to see what they do with that. With the Mandela Steinberg as the lead, which is pretty dope, and then the Korean dude, I guess, is gonna be the Jedi Master guy. So I think it's gonna be interesting. I think Carrie Ann Moss has got casted as well, so it could be interesting. I think it should be really, really interesting.
Multicultural pals.
Ding. Now, the other shows that's been getting so I was looking at shows that got canceled. First, some shows I didn't even know they were still on, which is hilarious. But
in and of itself.
Yeah, but so Westworld got the axe, just finished up its 4th season. I know all of us have watched it at some form of it. Some of us dropped off, some of them kept going. I didn't watch the last season. Cam, I think you dropped off at season 2?
Season 3. I watched the complete season 2.
Okay.
And season 2 didn't throw me off. It's just I forgot. It was like, oh
yeah, that happens.
No, because I think after first of all, season 1 to me was excellent. I didn't think that it needed to go any further than that. I was hoping that this would be I was hoping they would have done what Watchmen did. Stop right there. Do not go any further. But they did. And season 2 was what it was. It was okay. It was good.
Yeah, but
season 3 lost me a bit when they go into the real world. Maybe because I don't like people as much, so it was. I like the host better. So so when they went into season 3, but no, it was okay. It more so had the action too much. It felt too Hollywoodish for me, and too far from what they had established. Season 4 was a return to form in a really good way. They mixed in what the best parts of the first 2 seasons and took what they did that was good in this 3rd season, and it came out as something fresh. And I knew that this felt like that this could be the last season. I thought maybe they would get a 5th one, but if that's where they're ending, there have been worse places to end a narrative.
Dope. I mean, I like when shows at least get to complete their story, whether that's the end of the story or whether it goes on, but at least they can get to a point where this is satisfying. It's done.
Yeah, I agree.
Even if the show only is 1 season or 2 seasons, they get to finish their story. And I think that part is the most important aspect of it.
That's one of the reasons I have a hard time watching stuff like Firefly or Dollhouse or things that literally were just cut abruptly because
whatever politics and stuff like that.
Finish that story like that.
Yeah,
it's always You know, it's like reading a book, and just before the end, the last chapter, all the pages are gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that is one of the most frustrating things for pretty much any TV show to get, where like it's either a haphazard last episode or it's literally a cliffhanger, and then 20 years later, remember that one show?
Yeah, it was canceled, but remember that they were hanging on the edge, and just as they were about to leap off, it cut to black, and it was credits, and then we found out over the summer that the show was never, ever, ever coming back, and we were all like, "I wonder what happened. Did he jump or did he not?"
Yep, exactly. And then so now, like, what are you guys watching now? Because we're all like, I think Anders just wrapped up. Yeah, it's kind of, it feels like it's a low period. Like I'm catching up on stuff that I've been, like, most of my animes, I'm kind of catching up on some stuff right now. But I don't know if there's anything else. Like, what are you guys watching right now?
Bad vampire movies.
I will not let you go further, sir.
No, please.
No. So for context, I just was I like vampire flicks, and I'm always curious to watch good and bad. But that wasn't my intention to search out for a vampire flick. I actually just been scrounging around Netflix and all my other streaming devices, just looking for stuff that I either missed or forgot to watch. And Dracula Untold was one of those that I saw it, and I was like, it looked terrible, but I was bored, and I said, let me just watch it. And it took me.
You're the one who brought that up in the chat? Okay.
Yeah. So I overall, what have I been watching? Stuff that I've missed for the last like 5-10 years. Even Disney cartoons I've been like, or animation I've been revisiting because I missed it. Like I didn't watch a few. Like I just caught up. I watched Coco. I watched Encanto. Just catching up on stuff. So we're in that lull period. I'm not watching anything solid because I'm like, damn. Sorry. Well, did Andor didn't end yet?
No.
So I'm still watching Andor.
Okay.
And we got like 2 weeks before Andor is done.
Yeah. So I'm watching that. And just watching little one-off movies that I've been missing. So I don't have any show that I can recommend. Like
on that vampire tip, I watched Netflix's Night Teeth. And that was like kind of a random one-off type thing, kind of the same. It was like, I think it was, I watched the Jamie Foxx Day Shift or whatever, and that was like after it. And I was like, I'll just let it play. And I actually liked Night Teeth a little bit better than the Jamie Foxx joint. Jamie Foxx, it was popcorny and fun, and Snoop got to do a little acting, quote unquote. But I think for, like, kind of said, for vampire movies, there's not really, I'm not expecting this high art type situation. It's more entertaining. How OD are the vampires? How are they gonna look? Are they glistening or are they super bloody? Like that kind of thing.
So I got 2 maybe recommendations for Cam, since you like vampires TV shows. Well, there's a show called Reginald the Vampire on Sci-Fi. It actually stars what's his name? Jacob. How do you pronounce his last name? The guy that
I gotta look it up. But yeah, I watched the pilot of that. Go ahead.
Yeah, and by fake Genki, I mean Ned from from Spider-Man, the home films. But it's very interesting. I haven't watched it yet. It's horror comedy through and through. It's not meant to be taken serious at all, but you might like it. And I also been reading really good things about Interview with the Vampire. Apparently, it's more closer to Anne Rice's novels and her world.
They got a TV show?
Yeah, with Grey Worm from Game of Thrones
on AMC.
Yep.
Okay, you have my attention.
Yeah, and I read it because I was curious. Actually, I think it's finishing up, so you may be AMC is hard to watch their stuff once it's done, but I think it's only like 8 to 9 episodes, and from what I hear, it's really good. I mean,
what I was watching for a minute?
Good.
I was watching for a minute. I fell off. Was The Strain?
That was the Guillermo del
Toro. I was really surprised that I didn't like that, and I didn't even want to read the novels after I saw that.
Yeah, I was trying to get into it, but I fell off of that, and I was like, I don't know if I want to go back.
I read
the stupidest type of vampires I ever seen. I mean,
really,
the idea, the concept was cool. It would have worked if it had been made to be a little more frightening. It was just too much. It was just too campy. I was like, are you serious? You got the best type of concept for a vampire story, and it's creepy, but it's not creepy enough. So I didn't. But I might give it a shot. It's on Hulu. I might go back and try it again.
You know,
so
it's Guillermo del Toro, and he don't really miss that often.
That's what I'm saying. I like
True.
Guillermo del Toro. He's one of my favorite filmmakers.
I would say
right now, the only things I'm watching are Andor. I just started Titans against my better judgment.
I did watch that. I'm not gonna say
and I just finished Lower Decks, which impossibly keeps getting better every season. If y'all listening and you don't watch Lower Decks, you are not getting your full life. Oh my God, the show is so funny.
It's probably one of my favorite shows on TV right now. It's so ridiculous. They did a whole D Space Nine episode, which was just like, what?
It was.
I like the trailer that the promo when they first arrive, and then they cut to the Deep Space Nine theme song, and it's just the same camera angle.
Yes.
Yeah. But I haven't watched that, so don't spoil it. I'm waiting.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch that. I'm really looking forward.
Yeah, they have a lot of fun. I would say Lower Decks to me is it's 100% for Star Trek fans, but they also like really expand it more. Where like I would say for this season, a lot better on the character element. They basically do all the things. They basically do all the things that we hate about Discovery. They focus on everyone else that's not the main character. They give some layers. They give everybody enough screen time. They give these characters something to do that's not just asinine. It's actually like a thing that will help their character. So by the end of it, you learn something new about the character, and it's still fucking funny. Like it's just jokes are just all over the place, and it's like and they're deep Trekkie lore jokes, and that's what makes it even better. So it's like if you're a true Trekkie, you're laughing because you're like, oh my, like who the hell would even know this particular reference? And then if you're just watching it as a casual user, it's still pretty funny and has a good balance.
Yeah, even the little bit I read about the DS9 episode just had me cracking up because of Quark, and I was like, see, now that's when you understand how the mythology works. Like it's brilliant. I'm watching not much. I'm more reading than anything, but Chucky. I told you I'm not ashamed of that. Season 2 is back, and that's how I've actually come into know Reginald the Vampire, because Chucky is the lead in.
Okay.
And Chucky is absolutely honest with what it is. I mean, it is a fun ride if you are a fan of 80s like type of horror culture, like in just of that franchise. Don Mancini is still on doing it, and he just knows that audience and what they want so much. You know, they've expanded, they've used everything from the movies, and even kind of wrap back around to the stuff that people thought they didn't like, but he's making good use of it. Jennifer Tilly is surprisingly still amazing. Like she's just so fun to watch. So, and they brought her sister onto it too, and it was hilarious. A great arc between them two. Because I don't know, this isn't spoiling anything, but in Seed of Chucky, Jennifer Tilly plays the bride of Chucky as the character Tiffany Valentine. But in Seed of Chucky, the character Tiffany Valentine decides that she wants to become Jennifer Tilly. And so she kidnaps Jennifer Tilly, and she does the "Ade Due Dumbella," and she switches the bodies. But you don't know that. You just think that Jennifer Tilly is dead and she's masquerading as Jennifer Tilly. But they reveal in Chucky that she actually put the Jennifer Tilly into the doll. And she kept her, and she had her in the basement playing, because Jennifer Tilly is a professional poker player. So she had the doll in the cage over the years, placing bets to keep her money going.
Wow.
It's hilarious.
A deep cut and bringing it all the way in.
Meg Tilly comes, and she's like trying to test her because she's like, Jen, you just stopped talking to me 20 years ago, and I don't know what I did. You gotta tell me what I did.
That's actually pretty good.
It's really
that's
funny, man, and it doesn't take itself serious, and that's what I love about it. And it's like Stranger Things, but the villain is Chucky. They got a little group of kids that are fighting him, and they keep finding creative ways for him to mess with them and them to mess with him and to get around the adults. I'm just amazed. It's not great, but at the same time, it's fun. It knows what it is, and it does it well.
See, that's
dope. Chucky. I recommend it.
So I did watch Reginald the Vampire, the pilot, and it actually is kind of that same vein. It's like it's silly horror. You know, they have a lot of what's funny is one, Mario Van Peebles' son is the co-lead in it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And he looks like the same hair, light skin, the eyes, just the whole nine.
Just like Melvin.
So he's basically the sexy vampire. Then you got Reginald over here, pudgy Asian dude. And so he gets, he becomes a vampire, and he's like, oh man, am I gonna get like, abs and all that stuff? And they're like, nah, man, you kind of just stay the way you are
for eternity, because now you can't lose weight.
Exactly. And then they go, and there's like, yeah, plus like the other vampires, there's kind of like a click thing going on. You're kind of too big. And then he's like, wait, am I getting fat shamed as a vampire? So they have those type of jokes where they kind of roll with that. So it's silly in a good way. Fake Genki does a good job, I would definitely say.
You're gonna stop slandering that boy.
After playing Miles Morales, I have to say I agree with you.
Like I said,
playing that game, I kind of agree with him, and it has nothing to do with the actor.
He does a great job.
Yeah, it's more about what the studio and the people did to try to get the Genki character in the MCU
easily. But yeah. So I've been watching this. I've been picking up old stuff. Like I finished Ash versus the Evil Dead, which was freaking hilarious and super entertaining. Silly from top to bottom.
Wants me to watch that.
It is.
I'm gonna watch that.
It's super silly. It's like, don't rush, but if you have nothing else to watch and you just put it on, like Bruce Campbell is Bruce Campbell through the whole series, and that's what makes it great. It has the same schlocky special effects and that kind of stuff, and actually a somewhat coherent story, but it's definitely served well by the supporting cast. And so it's one of those ones where I'm like, oh man, like this is fun. Like, and I think the way it ended was because I think COVID, and so I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna get another season or not, but it did have a quote unquote like a solid end of that arc. And then I've just been catching up on the random stuff that I hadn't watched from before. Like I actually just finished Miss Marvel recently. Completely fine YA show. Yeah. It was really solid.
Did I call it?
Yep, you did. And I would say all the touches of cultural stuff were really good in terms of how they balanced that in. Wasn't heavy-handed. It wasn't didn't feel awkward. I thought they did a pretty good job overall. Could have used maybe a stronger villain, but other than that, casting was great. Like she did an amazing job, and even how they translated her powers from the books into the show was really good. They had their motion graphics team working overtime through the whole show. And then only thing right now, and then anime wise, I'm watching Shinobi no Itoki, I think it's called. It's basically just started. I think it's maybe 5-6 episodes in. But basically, this kid finds out he's like next in line to be the chief of a ninja village, and there's it's the typical anime story. Like, oh, hapless guy, I'm just gonna go live my life, and then hey, just want to let you know there's this whole world you didn't know about, and now go play. But that's been pretty interesting and just kind of fun to watch. Because I just had
to shatter a coworker's world. No names mentioned, but he didn't like She-Hulk and he didn't like Miss Marvel. This person is not melanated, and I was like, I swear I was thinking it, and I didn't mean to say it, but I was like, oh, you don't like those shows because they're not about you.
You know what? That's kind of unfair because
I don't like She-Hulk and I'm melanated. So
I'm melanated, and
Combination.
I'm not even gonna watch She-Hulk.
No. I remember I told you shouldn't. So I'm not saying. I'm saying the combination shows not being about young white males is the thing that I was trying to get at.
Yeah. No, I got it. I was
just
jokingly saying that I'm not gonna watch.
Yeah. That's
I'm
not.
not
No, still don't watch She-Hulk. Don't do that. Don't do that. But so it was interesting. That was in. He, of course, he jumped out of his skin. He was wilding. But it was very interesting to note the reaction that he had at the mere suggestion that he didn't like it because it wasn't about him.
How
he was
dare
like, "Oh,
you,
those shows are trash." And I'm like, "They're not trash." Like he was like, "Nobody's watching those." I pulled up ratings. I was like, "So nobody means that the same number of people who are watching Succession and Industry, both Emmy award-winning television shows on HBO Max, that counts as nobody. That's the nobody you're referring to."
Why would what kind of metric is that for you to hold yourself to? Oh, nobody's watching, so I'm not gonna watch. What? If nobody was watching, I would never watch The Expanse. I would never watch a lot of things because in terms of the numbers and compared to other things,
for real, nobody was watching The Expanse.
Hey,
so
man,
much so
Thomas
that it
Jane,
criminally did not get nominated for any Emmys or anything like that. So
yo, that's crazy. Not even the like technical like other. Wow, not even sound. None of that.
Hey, man, just blame Thomas Jane, man.
I bet you
he had a
look
bad
that
rep.
up.
What'd you say, Cam?
You're not gonna slander Thomas Jane.
Because there was no way in hell if Josh didn't tell me to watch it. Because I was like, Thomas Jane? I'm not watching this. You got to be kidding me.
You know what stopped me was Sci-Fi itself. Because you guys know what I'm saying. Because The Expanse came on, and it was after Battlestar Galactica, so there was some goodwill. True. At the same time, everything that came in between Battlestar Galactica was just like, oh my God, what the?
This is your daily reminder that I watch Merlin on Sci-Fi, and I don't know why.
Merlin was the least offensive because it was supernatural. I'm talking about when it came to like some of that other stuff, especially the stuff that was set in space and all that. It was garbage.
Bro, I worked on promos for Battlestar Galactica, so I was like hardcore Sci-Fi Channel stan. You couldn't tell me they could do any wrong because they were doing that. They had just started. They were the first channel to syndicate Doctor Who, which is how I wound up watching Doctor Who in the first place. And they had a good run around that time. And then they did that stupid rebrand where they changed it from Sci-Fi to SYFY.
I meant stuff before that because like even their like they had shows that just weren't good. Like they had one that was called Helix. That was terrible. There was a few
Helix started out good. I will say
this. It did not. From the very first episode, that show was bad. It was terrible.
My boy told me to watch it. I'm not gonna call names, but he has this thing where he watches shows that just and if he watches it, it's probably gonna end before it's gonna be bad, and it's gonna end before it gets anywhere.
Can I ask you a question?
And that was one of those shows. It was absolutely one of those shows. I was like, why did you make me watch this?
Since we're talking about Sci-Fi, let me ask you guys a question. Did anybody watch the second season of Altered Carbon?
I did.
I didn't watch the first
one. I think, I was going to say Cam did. I did not.
Yep, I did.
Thoughts?
I would say I thought Mackie actually did better than Kinnaman in terms of just the role and that.
Really?
Yeah, because I was surprised because Mackie's.
I enjoyed Altered Carbon the first season.
Yeah, I liked it too, but I think Mackie actually like gave the character a lot more. It was more interesting. I think that they kept more centered around him as opposed to him on a case looking for something, and they brought in his like love interest that he'd been trying to like whatever. So that was kind of interesting. So basically, it was more centered around the main dude as opposed to him getting hired to go. And the bulk of the show of the first season was him basically a detective on a case.
What I need to know is, does the dude who runs the hotel that he stays in come back?
Yes, in a fashion.
I'm in. All right, that's fine. Nope,
In
I
a
don't care how we
fashion.
come
In a
back.
fashion.
I'm in.
But
I'm in.
I
I'm
thought
in.
that they because I like the concept of Ultra Carbon,
Sure.
and I like the first season, and I think the second season the second season is worth watching to kind of complete that story.
Okay.
There's a couple parts are kind of whatever. Misty Knight's in it.
Oh well, then yeah.
and so they do some definitely. I mean, the one thing is like I really enjoyed the world that season 1 of Ultra Carbon like set up. And then in 2 they really expand on it to kind of give you a little bit more of like what really was going on and that kind of stuff. So I think it's definitely worth checking out. And I think as a whole, like I think if you haven't seen the anime they did, I think there's like there was an anime they did as well, which was also pretty good too. So
Okay.
yeah, so it was kind of a nice little thing, like 2 seasons in the anime essentially.
All right, Cam, we got marching orders.
Trying to think what else that recently I've been watching. Yeah, I think those are pretty much it. I've been catching up on my anime because like anime
really. I don't. My dance card is not as full as it used to be.
Yeah, that means like D said, pick up some reading. I got 2 books I'm reading, so I gotta get on that nonfiction as well.
I got some House of Dragon stuff to catch up on. So reads.
I suppose I should catch up on the Silmarillion. I put it down and picked up Stephen King, but I'm still gonna go back to it because, like I said, I'm kind of understanding a little bit what those Tolkien Society folks are talking about with the Rings of Power in terms of his connection to his source material in canon. But we'll see how I feel on the other end of the Silmarillion when I finish.
So the good thing is we got time.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have plenty of time.
We got time.
I will go through Lord of the Rings like that.
I say that because God of War just came out. So.
Oh yeah. God of War came out, and then I do want to cop Gotham Knights. I'm not gonna lie. I heard that game is pretty.
You will be the only one giving a review on that game.
I'm happy to do it. I heard it's pretty good.
We have 2 years for Rings. We got 2 years for Dragons.
House of Dragon.
Yep. Both of them. Mm-hmm.
Damn, that's a long stretch for
we
2
might not necessarily have. We don't necessarily have 2 years. We probably got a year and some months because House of Dragon is going to start filming in early 2023. I think January or February they said. So I would give them 6 months to shoot. Probably that's most of the year. 6 months to shoot. 6 months to shoot.
Another 3 months for post.
So that's basically, I would say they probably won't put that out until spring 2024. Nice. So about a year and a half.
Yeah, we can. We can actually circle back and do another round robin on what we're actually playing, video game wise, since there is a bunch of stuff that's coming out in this past.
And I can ask questions since I don't have a console.
Been playing more PC stuff lately, so it's been kind of interesting.
It feels like PS5, they're all doing a jump.
2 months. I've just been playing on my phone.
Oh yeah. There's that too. Like I haven't picked up the Marvel Snap, but I keep hearing about that. And
I'm looking forward to fighting Fat Thor as Kratos. That's what I'm looking forward to. Fighting Fat Thor, and I know Odin is on the game because they had his voice in the VO in the trailer, but they haven't showed him yet. So I'm
why does it sound like Josh Brolin?
It's not him. It's actually Richard. I forget his name, but he's I think he was in West Wing or something like that.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he's like, he doesn't look like a Viking at all, but he's definitely he definitely sounds like he's gonna kill it in terms of, because the guy that plays Thor is that he played I don't even know. Oh, he was in what's that biker show on FX? He was in Sons of Anarchy. Yeah. I forget his name.
I know who you're talking about too.
He plays the voice of Thor. He was also in The Walking Dead recently as Beta.
Okay.
Of the Whisperers. And he was also Ryan Hurst. That's his name. Ryan Hurst.
Walking Dead is ending.
It ain't ending. They just saying that they gonna come with a 13th season.
Oh, they got
12th
spinoff
season
galore
already.
coming, but
That's
supposedly,
still on?
oh yes, it's very much still on.
It's still on,
I think the last episode is the next week or two.
That's what they say, but then they it took literally three separate seasons, 3 tranches to end this pathetic show. I do not understand in the life of me how something that has no story whatsoever could drag out this story the way they have. It's mind-boggling.
Can I ask you a question?
God,
If I was to start fresh from The Walking Dead, where would you have me end it?
The Walking Dead?
Second season.
Yeah.
Where would they have ended?
Or what would you, if I was watching it now? I remember watching the first season and I just didn't watch after that.
That's where I would have ended it. To be honest, I'm just being honest because because here's the thing. Kirkman's comic is idiosyncratic for the comic medium. I don't know for the stuff that he wrote as it grew that it worked as well in TV, because it started to look like the same thing, and you couldn't feel the nuances because in the comic book, the Savior's arc was the longest, and that was only about 3 books, 3 or 4 books. The Governor's arc was like 3-4 issues. At that. It wasn't even
2 and a half, I want to say something like that. It was small.
Yeah, it was like
very small. And all of these things.
Yeah,
all these things. The Whisperer, they took 2 seasons to deal with that, and I wasn't even watching it, just hearing it from my sister.
Everything was stretched to
the Negan thing. Exactly. Should have only been at most 1.5 seasons. At most 1.5.
Dude, Herschel's
started in season 6, and it didn't end until season 8.
Wow. Really?
It started in season 6 and didn't end until season 8. Then the Whisper thing was 9, 10, and they're at the you remember, Cam, the last thing they were at
which one?
The big community with 50,000 people.
I always forget
the Commonwealth. Yeah, now they're there. And again, you see that it don't translate because what is everybody saying? Oh, they look like the stormtroopers. They lifted it right from the page. Yeah. It's just hockey pad stuff that they threw together, but it works better.
I would actually
the comic book.
I would actually recommend the comic books because there's actually a definitive beginning, middle, and end.
Absolutely.
And it makes sense.
And I think that's the thing. Like when I watched the first season, I started to watch in 2 and I was kind of getting bored. So I kind of just went back to the comic. And then I showed up again for Negan because I knew that was going to be dope. So I watched that episode because I was literally waiting for it. And then I heard the governor was there, and I was like, oh, governor's there. I was like, wait, why is the governor here for so long? You know what? I'm good.
And so they sent him away, and then he came back, and I was like, "Come on, man, this dude wasn't that badass." And then in the thing with Negan, instead of them just having him kill Glenn, they kept doing these bait and switches where they had him kill Abraham, and then he comes in and kills Glenn. And I'm like, "Come on, man, Abraham was already dead before that even happened in the comic because Abraham got killed. He got." Exactly, and they gave that to a random character nobody cared about. Yeah, that death thing was a random character nobody cared about.
I highly recommend reading the book if for no other reason than the characters that get off. You feel it more, like you don't see it coming. It's always almost always sudden, and I feel like you get a quicker emotional attachment that gets broken just as fast with the characters who die.
And there's a certain irony in when Rick dies in the comic, you feel it because of the circumstances of what's happening and everything that came before. He had just achieved a great victory and only one person had to die versus a whole slew of people. And it looked like everything was starting to turn, and then out of nowhere, some little asshole kills him, and it's his son that finds him. And it's not even that he kills him in a shootout. Rick is literally in his bed about to get up, and the kid comes and shoots him in the chest. And so that in and of itself, it shows you the difference in the writing, in the approach to it. That's why I said Fear the Walking Dead was closer to how I think Kirkman wanted or intended the original show. And I'm only talking about the first 3 seasons. After that, that show completely dips into just, it literally takes a dive into a shit pool. And then and it never comes up.
And there's a third spinoff now. That's what's happening? Or it already
There's
started?
2 more. There's The World Beyond. There's this anthology where it's got these random celebrities playing in the world, and with like Parker Posey, Terry Crews, Olivia Wilde. Like, it's like,
you want to know what happens to Terry Crews in the zombie apocalypse, you know.
What?
I know I want to see that.
I'm cool.
Everybody's over it. They just don't. There's this contingent of morons out there that believe that stuff is still good and compelling TV. Like, you know, for 5 after season 2, for 7 to 8 seasons, the Walking Dead was nothing but group attack our protagonists. Our protagonists get sweet vengeance. Boom, 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 boom. That's it. There was nothing to that. Hit, retribution, hit back, retribution, hit back. That's it. That's The Walking Dead.
That show, I'll tell you where it started to die. When they hit Herschel's farm. That was when that show was officially like, they stayed on the farm.
Made that into a spectacle.
Yeah. They stayed on Herschel's farm. They stayed on Herschel's farm. It's funny. They stayed on Herschel's farm probably longer than they stayed at the prison. And when they stayed at the prison in the books, they were there for a long time.
Yeah, I would say that too.
They were there for like a couple of years. They were there for like a year or 2 in the books, right?
Yeah, I think it's like, it's a solid 2 years.
For 10 seasons, it didn't snow on that show. And then all of a sudden,
wait, what did you say?
I said for 10 seasons, we saw no other type of weather on that show besides bright, sunny days and occasional rain. And all of a sudden, in season 10, they got a whiteout just to show zombies walking through the snow.
Oh, man.
That's the type of writing that they engaged in on The Walking Dead after those, 2 seasons.
If I'm not mistaken, within the first, I want to say 8 to 10 issues of the comic, it snowed at least twice.
Yeah, because they marked the snow as a way of knowing where they were in the calendar year.
Yeah,
and that was, and especially when they went east to DC.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. They've been in DC since season 5, and I swear to God, I've never seen not one nor'easter or nothing.
Tell them why you mad, D. Tell them why you mad.
I'm just saying.
There are no more umbrellas.
You got me on this Walking Dead shit.
You got
2 more episodes. They should combine it to one night and be done with it.
You got triggered.
Yeah, no.
Well, isn't there going to be a Daryl and Carol show also? Wasn't that speculated?
What they saying, but whoever watches that, they brain fried. They ain't got no.
Here's the funny bit. They announced it. Here's the funny bit. They announced it, and the actress that plays Carol was like, no, I never agreed to that.
She probably like, man, I was hoping they killed Carol off like 2-3 seasons ago.
Carol is a survivor.
I remember when they killed off who plays Michael Burnham? I'm blanking on my girl's name. Sonequa.
Yeah, Sonequa.
I remember when they killed off her character, and I was like, man, she had to be running around in circles like, man, I'm out of this. I don't have to be dirty all the time. I can actually be on the show. That's actually
she'd already scored Star Trek, so she was like, I'm out.
She scored Star Trek.
Yeah.
The chick that played the actress that played Maggie is the same way. She tried to get out, but they poured her back in like Godfather 3. Everybody else
she had her own show for a hot second, and it didn't last
for
more
2
than
seconds.
1 season.
Yeah. Wasn't it a buddy cop show?
Denai Guerrilla, she's like, man, I'm out. I'm in Wakanda if you need me. She's like, man, I'm in Wakanda.
She about to write her own checks.
Yeah, and she gonna have her own show on Disney Plus, all kinds of stuff.
Dude, on the low, she's done a ton of indie work. in between
Yeah.
seasons
Theater
of Walking.
too. She's a great theater actress.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
But it's
dude,
smart though.
I met her. So I met her before she got The Walking Dead at a off Broadway joint that she was doing with someone I was dating.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Brilliant actress. Brilliant actress from day one.
Yeah, she is amazing. That's why I was happy because they were starting to do the same thing with Michonne's character, taking her all the way to somewhere where that wasn't what she was doing in the comic book and all this stuff. And I'm like, man, she's way too talented to be on this riffraff.
Supposedly she got a spinoff show too.
They all do.
They all do. They all take a bath and then they go and look great.
What else? AMC don't got much left these days.
Maybe Interview with the Vampire. Maybe.
Oh yeah, there you go.
That's on my list. I'm gonna check that out.
Well, you know what?
I'm gonna check it out too.
Yeah, we'll do another. We'll do another one in a month to see where everyone's watching, just kind of see, and then we'll chime in on Interview with the Vampire and some of the other shows that kind of came out because we're bringing up on that fall winter season where it's just gonna be lull, so we can start catching up on random stuff.
I'm gonna catch up on Atlanta too. I know it's the last season. I gotta finish that.
Yeah,
I just finished
it tomorrow, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm quite sad that Atlanta is going away. I wish they'd been able to do more, and I kind of wish that Donald Glover wasn't as pretentious in the end with it because I thought it was really fun the way it started, but then it started to go towards the more very, very high concept, surreal, almost avant-garde storytelling, and I appreciate that. I love it, but it wasn't what I kind of expected for these characters in this story, but he's great at it. So, I mean, I won't have no complaints in the end.
Yeah, definitely. Dope. All right, fellas. Well, everybody, thanks for rocking with us, listening to what we're watching right now. We'll chime back in for this type of topic a little bit later, so just so you can see what we're watching. And for all the folks that's coming up, we got Black Panther. That's gonna be super interesting. So this is Blerdlines, and we'll see you guys later.
Hasta lasagnas.